Hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. I'm Alex Freeman, joined as always by Luke Jaconis. It's a 2 episode week around here. Haven't had one of those in
Old
years.
times.
Just like the Tigers haven't had a series win in the playoffs in years. But Luke, it's a victory Thursday as we record this. How you feeling?
Feeling great. I believe the last time the Tigers won a playoff series, I was a freshman in college at Western Illinois University back in the fall of
Yeah,
2013.
that time's out.
That was a long time ago. It has been a long time, not only for the Tigers to be in the playoffs, let alone win a playoff series. And I'm not going to lie to you, my friend, my pal, my co host, the vibes have never been higher. What a win. What
I
a
agree.
series. As Stone Cold Steve Austin would say, give me a hell yeah, because it has been one heck of a ride.
The vibes in Motown right now, just as a fan from afar, have to be immaculate because you got the Lions doing their thing. You got this gritty Tigs
Uh-huh.
team, and it's about to be hockey season as well. And while this Red Wings team is not Red Wings of yore, they are expected to, they literally came as close as you can to making the playoffs last year without making the playoffs, losing on a tiebreaker, and by all accounts have improved this offseason. So it is a great time, and we
I was
don't
going to
need to
say,
talk about
I feel like you're leaving
basketball.
out one of the core four, but I'll leave that to the viewers.
No, there's only three professional sports franchises in
Fair enough.
Detroit.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, just the vibes are so good. I don't know what to do with myself. It's also been like one of those, like it's Thursday at 3 o'clock as we're recording this. So the last 2 days we've been in the middle of a very tense baseball games, and I've got that kind of feeling that like after the first 2 days of March Madness, after the Olympics were over this summer, where it's been like I've just been like so high on
Mm-hmm.
sports the last 2 days that today I've just been like, what do I do with
Yeah, I
myself?
totally get that almost feeling of like abandonment and loneliness. You're like, what the heck am I doing for the
Mm-hmm.
next 40 hours? I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually a little bit I'm okay to take a break. I think the old ticker needed it a little bit. The old little
Yeah.
heart needed. I was pretty riled up. Both games, the game one where it got a little bit dicey there in the ninth inning, and then game two, obviously. I mean, let's get into it. But I mean, let's start with game one, I guess. Tarek Skubal is built for postseason baseball. On our
Just
Yeah, on our last
unbelievable.
episode, I had said the only thing I was a little bit worried about with Tarek was just letting the moment almost overtake him just a little bit, maybe getting a little bit too amped up, and he kept his emotions in check, and he looked like the Tarek Skubal we've
Mm-hmm.
watched pitch this entire season. No doubt about it. I mean, we knew this even before his start against Houston, but he is the American League Cy Young winner, Triple Crown winner in the American League as well for pitching, which is awesome. So, yeah, I mean, Skubal's a madman. Offense, what I was really impressed was obviously we know Skubal's going to be Skubal, but offense in game one,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did not let Valdez off the hook at all. They just came out swinging and
Yeah.
swinging and swinging and swinging. And they put up some runs early. Skubal did the rest. Will Vest, my goodness, I don't know
Incredible.
I don't know what's in his Cheerios that he's eating every morning, but whatever it is, keep it going, Will, because he has looked dynamite. I know Foley struggled a little in game one, which was unfortunate to see. Tyler Holton still Tyler Holton. The pitching has been there. The pitching has been there. The offense has been there.
Mm-hmm.
The defense has definitely been there. I think I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. Yeah, they locked that big one down in game one, and Bo Brisky came in the ninth. Really, just I mean, yeah. I mean, they look great. They look great. They are playing with so much confidence and so much swag and so much charisma right now. It is something we have not seen in Detroit for 10 years, 10 plus years at this point. And it's so much fun to watch.
Because I mean, a handful of situations in both games where teams of the last 10 years in those situations, you'd be like, oh, well, this is where it all falls
Mm-hmm.
apart. This is where there's not anybody who's going to step up and make the big play to stop the bleeding here, so that we can win this game, finish this game out, or get back into this thing as we've maybe let a lead slip away, as the case was in game 2. And I mean, the end of game 1, I just my heart rate was through the roof. I'm surprised my Apple Watch didn't call 911 on my behalf, as it was well over 100 beats per minute.
Were you
watching the closing moments of that
Were you
inning?
more amped up for the finale of Game 1 in the 9th inning, or the Ibanez bases clearing? I guess they ruled it a double in the 8th inning of Game 2. What evoked more of a guttural reaction for you? Because I know mine.
It was definitely the
Yeah.
Ibanez double that really I let it rip, and I think it's because the nature of an offensive
Mhm.
play versus the just the building
Yeah.
tension of needing the
Mhm.
defense to step
Yeah.
up. And then it finally happens. And so that was much more of a relief
Mhm.
moment than an excitement
Yeah.
moment.
The Ibanez, I saw a tweet and I don't disagree with it. The Andy Ibanez uh, go ahead bases clearing double is the biggest postseason hit the Detroit Tigers have had since Maglio Ordonez in 2006. And I don't disagree. I know there were some great teams in
No,
11
yeah,
and 12, 13, 14. Biggest post. I mean, I the moment was made, and AJ Hinch is a smart man, smarter than I could ever hope to be in my life, because he plays these matchups and he knows these guys and he keeps these weapons in the holster until he needs to let them run loose. And I mean, I felt oddly confident with Andy Ibanez up at the plate. I know he's going up against Josh Hader. He's a phenomenal pitcher, Hader, but I liked our odds. And I mean, I was thinking like maybe a base. Clear them all, incredible. I went full
yeah.
psycho. I erupted like a volcano. My lovely significant other, my girlfriend, was watching the show with me, or the game with me, I should say, and I throughout the years I've been animated. There's times I get loud. There's times I get frustrated. There's times I cheer when I'm excited. Nothing like this. Nothing like the sounds, the body language.
Mm-hmm.
I was in it. I was in it, and it was great. It was great. It was a huge moment. Yeah, it was just it's so nice. Now let me ask you this question. Kind of backtracking. Yeah,
Hang on, Luke. Before we
go ahead.
move
Yes,
on, I want to say, I don't know if you're aware that there was a hilarious text chain going between your girlfriend and my wife,
yes. I heard.
about us during
I
the
heard.
game, and B, the other on the my wife note, I realized that in the time that her and I have known each other, Detroit sports have been so bad, partnered with the fact that I was out of town for the entire NFL
Mm-hmm.
playoffs last year. She has never actually been around me during a playoff
Mm-hmm.
run. So this is a new
How's she?
thing for our
How's it going?
relationship. It's
Yeah.
going well. I think it's okay. I she's more prepped for
Yeah.
some of those
Mm-hmm.
outbursts, I think,
Yeah.
than she had been in the past. But so we're working through it. We're
I gave a
working through
fair
it.
warning to Summer. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna be, it's the playoffs. I've dialed it back a bit during regular season games. I don't go to attend as much on a random Tuesday against, the Cincinnati Reds, but this is the playoffs. That's 10 years. I'm gonna turn into a psychopath, and it's just gonna be what it will be. And I hope you can support me during
Yeah,
this
it's like
time."
I will agree that a random game from the
Mm-hmm.
162 regular season games, I probably don't need to lose my
Yep.
mind either
Yep.
way about. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
the playoffs. It's the
you
playoffs.
gotta do what you gotta do, man. Yeah, no, it's been great. It's been awesome. It's been one heck of a ride. So, the question I wanted to ask you real quick, going back to game two because we were texting about it. So the Jackson Joe move,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
I
Seems to be, and like to your earlier point of like AJ Hinch is a master. This seems to be the
Right.
only thing that anybody could
Maybe a little
begin to
nitpicky.
question about what
hmm
he did.
My my
Yeah,
my thought on this is, and you're 100% right. When we were texting, I was like, I don't know if I like the move, and I was like, they got no experience. Like none of them have experience. I totally get that. I just think it's tough because the guy's been a major leaguer for not even a week. But here's the good news.
yeah,
Here's how it really shapes up. He was damned if he did, damned if he didn't in that situation, AJ Hinch.
mhm,
Because if he goes in there and he strikes out the side, he looks like a freaking mastermind. If he goes in there and he struggles, people are going to question the decision, which is what happened. But I think the one thing that is getting lost in the shuffle here a little bit, whether you liked the move, were kind of in the middle of the move, or really didn't like the move, and I was definitely more kind of in the middle. Jackson Jobe honestly pitched okay. He hit the one guy, so that sucks. You know, he put the leadoff guy on. He gives up a little duck snort. Then he lets off a bunt. It's not like he came in and walked three guys back to back to back. Then there'd really be problems. Then I'd really be like, this was a bad move, AJ. He wasn't ready for the moment. He gave up some very weak contact. He gave up a bunt and he hit a batter. I mean, I'm not saying like that's great, good work, Jackson. But I mean, if you look at it from a perspective, I feel like some people on social media are being like, AJ, he just cost us the game. He was so unprepared. He wasn't ready. And while I do think there's an element to that, it's again, he didn't go in there and just give up three, homers back to back to back or walk guys left and right. I mean, he went in there and induced some weak contact. It didn't go out for him. Sometimes baseball stuff. So yeah, it's just that's the only one little blemish I guess I'd give AJ. But other than that, masterful managing in two games, truly.
yeah. And I do think it is one of those situations. I certainly agree, 100%. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That what I think fans lose sight of, and this was very similar to some of the people questioning some of the decisions Dan Campbell made in the NFC
Mm-hmm.
Championship game last year, is that what they are questioning is actually against the thing that got the team to where
Yep.
they are, and you have to. I'm always of the mind you gotta dance with the girl that brung you, and if this is who you've been all season, this is how you've done it, this is how you've arrived at this place, for better or worse, you got to ride it
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
this moment. That as soon as you start kind of going back on those things, then you're going to cost yourself the game by overthinking in that way. And the thing that we talked about is that like I have no issue bringing him into the game in a 1-0 game, because obviously you're not gonna use one of the 26-man roster spots if you, like, as a
Mm-hmm.
staff, don't think that he can contribute. And it's not like you're going to have a situation in a 3-game series especially where it isn't just like instantly a high leverage situation. Like, I don't think you don't bring him for the experience on the off chance that, oh, we're up 6 runs on the
Right.
Astros, so like let's bring him in. It is in one of these situations there's going to be a matchup situation that we like for him, and I think it's great. The point that I get nitpicky about is, like, I don't think I let him pitch with the bases
Yeah.
loaded. As soon as they're loaded, I think you got to take him out of the
Mm-hmm.
game, because he certainly doesn't have anything remotely close to the right level of experience to handle that
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
moment. But also, I've been thinking about this since it happened, and the other side of it is that, is part of what sparked the offense to get the runs is those guys saying, "We brought this kid in to have this opportunity. Now we have to go pick him up, and we have to go pick up AJ for this maybe moment." And that maybe that's one of the things that like got them refocused into the box in a way that wasn't. And that's not, nobody's saying bring a kid in to
No.
blow the
Yeah.
lead so that the offense gets sparked. But like, you think about the butterfly effect of the game, and perhaps that is part of what helped that moment come
Yeah,
alive
I
as
mean,
well.
it's picking up your teammate, right? I mean, that's what it comes out to today. And you have to
Mm-hmm.
also, and you said it earlier too. How Tigers teams in the last 10 years, if they got down, like they did in this game too, that would just be it. It would the bleeding. They wouldn't be able to stop the bleeding. That 2 running would have turned into a 6 running. And I think you need to make a comment that
Yeah.
this same Tigers team of 3 months ago that may have happened, or they would have kept it at 2-1 and
Yeah.
not been able to have answered back. I just think this team is playing with such a level, with such a chip on their shoulder, and I truly believe it. And it sounds very cliche, but they've been playing pretty much game 7, elimination game type baseball since the middle of August. So this is really they're essentially going in there with with house money at this point. They're just along for the ride, and I think that's what makes them so dangerous right now. And I think you're 100% correct. And we talked about it on the last show we did before this series kicked off. We were kind of curious to see what would AJ do pitching wise, because you've got fresh arms
Mm-hmm.
now. You could assemble a bit of a rotation with a Scooble, a Cater Montero, a Reese Olson, a Brant Herter, a Casey Mize. You could do a more traditional pitching rotation. You could do that, something you really haven't been doing since the first half due to injury. Or do you keep playing the hot hand of what's gotten you here in the first place of Tarek Scooble and then pitching chaos, as AJ Hinch put it? And that's what they did, and it worked out. So I think it's just really remarkable. I mean, AJ Hinch is so damn smart. I mean, I'm amazed. And here's something too. I think we're
Mm-hmm.
all overlooking a little bit with him bringing in Job. Obviously, they must have liked the matchup. They thought this is a good fit for Jackson. Let's give him a go. But by not bringing in, because the one thing I saw on Twitter a lot, by not bringing in a Will Vest in the seventh, that then left him available to pitch the ninth. And I would rather, I think, have had Will Vest in the ninth, had the game still been 1-0, than being like, all right, Jackson Job, it's an elimination game. Game two, you've got a 1-0 lead. Astros got 3 outs left. Good luck, buddy. Go get your first ever major league save. Like, you want to talk about the stakes being really high? I mean, that's as high as it gets. So I think is it strategy? Is it a little bit of luck? Is it a little bit of both? I don't really know, but I trust AJ Hinch with my life at this point. The guy is a very smart man, and we're lucky to have him. And they won. And what the offense did, the responding. Let's talk about that eighth inning, because obviously we'll get to the Ibanez hit, which we already kind of touched upon, but everyone had selfless at bats today. You get the Carp single, the Matt Vierling single.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer Torkelson, really got to give him props for getting that walk. He could have easily tried to be the hometown hero and go for the big hit, but he didn't. He had a patient at bats against a good guy like Hader. He draws the walk, and it sets the table for Ibanez. So I mean, it was really really incredible, and I mean, you could just see the emotion these guys have. When Ibanez got the hit, I mean, the place was electric, and the stadium at Houston, you could hear a pin drop. That's how they just completely just sucked the air out of the room with that hit. It was a gut punch. So I mean, incredible stuff, really.
Yeah, and I think, to kind of transition us into looking ahead to the divisional series with the Guardians, is that I think about, did we really see first time playoff nerves from any of these guys? I don't think really.
No.
I felt like everybody was kind of like meeting the moment really well. So if they were feeling it, they got through it pretty flawlessly. Um, I'd be shaking in my boots right now if I was the Cleveland Guardians, because now this team has now they have playoff experience, and now they have like entered into that different phase. The games certainly feel different. It is a much more tense game, right? You're fighting for your next tomorrow, which they've been doing for a long time already to get to this point. But now, like, there's not anything new that's coming at them in the division series, except it's best of five. And, um, maybe again, we can start having the nerves conversation if they get through the division series and then they're in the championship series, and you start to be like, oh, I'm playing in the American League Championship Series. Like, this is a
Yeah.
huge, like, this is like, you survived the wild card. Now you're in the division series. Okay, great. Like, next game up, in that situation. And especially when you're going to a place that they're all relatively much more familiar with. And so you don't have this moment where it's like, oh, this is the ALCS against the New York Yankees. This is 5 games against a division
Yeah.
opponent, and it's gonna be it's gonna be a lot of fun. They're playing great baseball right now, and I just think you always gotta. I mean, since the expanded playoffs, like, we have seen it time and time
Mm-hmm.
again. The wild card teams are tough outs, man, because they have been playing very meaningful
Yep.
baseball. What was the last meaningful baseball game that the Cleveland Guardians played? I mean, the division was sewn up, what, a month
Yep.
ago?
Yep.
So that, like, they have not been playing meaningful
Especially,
baseball for a very
yeah,
long
especially in
time.
September, Minnesota and Kansas City were crapping their pants and losing left and right. The Tigers gained a lot of ground, but it was all wild card ground. Not they never had Tigers as much as well as they played. They never had a chance to come back for the division. So yeah, you're 100% right. Cleveland has probably been in cruise control for the last couple of weeks.
And I mean, and not that's not to discount that lineup. That team is great. They were one of the best teams in the American League. They were the second best team in the American League, in fact. And so not to look past them, but there is going to be a mental shift that they all have to make that they haven't had to be thinking about for a long
Yeah, the
time.
one thing I want to say, I was talking, I think my pops about this last night. We were talking about it. The one thing that this Tigers team has solidified with me with their not only playoff appearance, but now winning a playoff series, is that the Minnesota Twins suck. I mean, the Minnesota Twins are such a ass poop stain on the underpants of Major League Baseball. They may win the division more times than the Tigers, but let's call it how it is, folks. When the bright lights are on, this Twins team is just a joke in playoff baseball. Tigers haven't been to a
Hmm.
playoff series in 10 years, and they just went out there and knocked off the reigning defending ALCS 7 time in a row champs, Houston Astros. Minnesota gets to one playoff game. They don't know what the hell to do with
We have the
themselves.
smallest payroll of
Yeah,
playoff
yeah. So
teams.
not to take another unwarranted, well, maybe semi-warranted shot at the Minnesota Twins, but man, they suck. They are such a vanilla loser franchise. They really are. And here I am probably puffing my chest a little bit more than I should, but damn it, we earned it. We actually know how to win playoff series, Minnesota. Take a look at that. So I don't know what happens the rest of the way. Of course, it is a little bit poetic that they will end I shouldn't say that their next step in this journey will be against Cleveland. And then there's the potential that if they were to beat Cleveland and if the Kansas City Royals were to lose to New York, they would then play the Yankees. It's just a little bit poetic because those are my two least favorite teams, probably in baseball. So it's just like, damn it. You never want to lose, but you really don't want to lose to the teams that you hate. So we'll see. I love the Tigers odds right now. I really do. They got nothing to lose. They are playing with house money, and I'll tell you
Yeah,
this too. Not only do they have idiot fans like us, they're starting to become like the country's team. Like this is truly like
yeah.
the underdog squad. I mean, I told this on our last episode, and it's been so nice. It makes me feel so loved and appreciated, which to my friends and family who have been like, like reaching out and being like, my mom called me today and she's like, how about the Tigers? I don't think my mom has said that to me in 10 years, probably 10 plus years. She's like, man, congratulations on the Tigers. That's so much fun. When was the last time they were good? And I was like, Ma, long time, long time, long time.
Long
So
time
yeah, it's
ago.
pretty spectacular. Real quick, I wanted to ask your thoughts. Some of the other matchups in the playoffs. We had Kansas City beat
Yeah,
Baltimore, Mets and
I love this Royals
Royals
squad.
are
I think
yeah, Royals are scary, man.
they are so much fun to watch as well. I really think that like they're also a matchup nightmare for the Yankees. I actually went with a buddy to see them play the Yankees when they were in town for the regular season, and the Yankees ended up winning that particular game. But I mean, it's just a very similar situation to the Guardians,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is like when were the Yankees last playing meaningful baseball? Like that division was a little bit
Mm-hmm.
closer, but not to the same a very similar degree. That you know more or less it was tied up. They knew they were in the playoffs. All of those things, and I think that Aaron Boone is a terrible manager. So management matters in the playoffs, especially to get around to this team that is playing as scarily as the Royals are right now. And let me tell you, if we get a Tigers Royals ALCS, that is going to be just like it's not 4D chess. It's going to be like 82D chess between
Yep.
like of those managers making
Mm-hmm.
moves because it is going to be um it will be Tarek Skubal and
Yeah.
chaos in the
Yeah.
ALCS all
I
around.
hope that happens. I know one group of people who hopes that that does not happen, and that group is Major League Baseball. I think they are probably dreading a Kansas City Royals, Detroit Tigers ALCS. But I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here for a second, if I may. Major League Baseball needs to step up. First of all, let's talk about the technical difficulties on the broadcast the last 2 days that were on ABC,
Oh,
ESPN.
that was
It
brutal.
is playoff baseball. Figure your shit out. It's come on, guys. Like it's not it, this. There's if there's you got 162 games throughout there you can muck up. Come on, it's playoff baseball. Figure your shit out. Truly. truly, truly an embarrassing product that they put on ABC, ESPN the last couple of days. I guess I shouldn't speak to the other broadcasts. I'm just mainly going after the Tigers Astros. Also, I didn't love, and maybe because we're just spoiled with Jason Benetti, I did not love Michael King and Tim Kirchin, and I think it was Todd Frazier. Did
Oh,
not like it at all. Did not
awful.
like it. I do appreciate Tim
Yeah.
Kirchin's kind of little nerdy facts that he slides in there, but we got a guy in Detroit who does it way better and he makes it funny. Nathan Jason Benetti, best broadcaster in baseball, hands down, no question about it. He should be called in these games right now. The next thing I want to say is, though, on top of the technical difficulties, the hoops you have to jump through if you don't have cable to watch one of these playoff games is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I have MLB TV. I buy it every year, 140, 150 bucks, whatever it is. I obviously knew I couldn't watch it because of blackouts, but then they get your hopes up and they say,
Thank you, by the way.
no
Thank
problem.
you for
Always happy
buying
to
that,
help a
by the
pal
way.
out.
Yeah,
You let me
appreciate it.
you let me stay at your apartment for a few free nights when I visited last year, so we'll call it square. The the hoops you have to jump through, they make you jump through now during the postseason. You can have MLB TV, but you still have to link it to your TV provider. So we talk about this all the
Mhm.
time. Okay, we're in a this league is so hell bent on growing the game, growing the game. Not only this, make the game actually watchable for those who want to watch it. But on top of that, like we said in the last episode, don't schedule playoff games at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday. I mean, it did work out for me. I'm not really complaining that much. I know it worked out for you, but there's a lot of people out there who are unable to watch those games because they're at work or they're in school. MLB is
Mhm.
sometimes the biggest ass backwards group I've ever seen in my life. They preach all this bullshit, but then they never deliver on their own end. So it's ridiculous. The technical difficulties were an embarrassment on ABC. The hoops you got to jump through to even just be able to watch the game. Then you got to watch the game in the afternoon, like right after you get out of work meeting or after taking a science test. It's just ridiculous. They really have to find a way to iron out these kinks because you talk about growing the game. You guys are killing it. You're killing this. You're killing it, and not in a good way.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, it's always one of those things that and like the broadcast team talked about it on ABC that both these teams have great local broadcasters. They name drop Benetti and it's like the allegory they used is you date the girl all year and then they go to the prom with
Yeah.
somebody else, and it's like fix
Mm-hmm.
that because we all like our
Yeah.
guys.
They should take one and
And
one and put
I'm
them
not.
together and let them call a game together that way.
Yeah, or they do it with the national championship games all the time on ESPN, where it's like, okay, great, here's the ABC feed with the national
Mm-hmm.
guys, and you can get on the ESPN app, you can go do those things. We have the Tigers broadcast team doing
Yeah.
the game, and we would have the Astros broadcast team doing the game, and especially now that Bally Sports doesn't exist, which is another thing we can touch on. Those guys, they need the work, is what I'm saying. I mean, the hope for me is that maybe we get a chance to see Benetti sometime later in the postseason, since we're going to
Fox.
Fox now the rest of the way, and he does work for them in college football. So maybe there's a
Yeah.
chance that we can get him into the booth at some point, because yeah, I mean that it returned me to some awful memories of watching Detroit Tigers baseball with just a terrible broadcast
Yeah.
team. And that's what I'll
Yeah, it wasn't
say.
good. Definitely wasn't good. We are correct. They should, in playoff baseball, they should go about by bringing in broadcasters from each team. Like, if you want to do a 2-2, a 4-man booth, a 2-man booth, whatever it is, I think that'd be, for me, I would like that. Benetti's been a delight. Give me a Benetti, Dan Dickerson booth. Honestly, we didn't really talk about this much during the regular season, especially the last couple of weeks and months, but the combination of Jason Benetti and Andy Dirks was just sensational.
Oh,
Absolutely,
incredible!
absolutely
What a
fun. So
team!
great, so great, so great. Yeah, it'll be
I
interesting.
might even say that's the best Tigers broadcast booth for TV in my lifetime.
Ooh, that's a big claim because I was a big Rod and Mario fan back in the day.
I think
Yeah,
they were great, but I think that
Dirks and
the
Benetti. Yeah,
Benetti and
Benetti's great, dude.
Dirks
Yeah,
were.
and also shout out to Dan Petrie. Like obviously, like there were some things that happened with the Bally Sports broadcasting this year that kind of probably ruffled the lineup, so to speak, with people kind of going out. So people just came in and stepped up, and Dan Petrie, Andy Dirks was awesome. They were great. When Carlos Pena was in the booth, I
Mhm.
enjoyed him. Todd Jones was okay. I mean, yeah, it's a. I know Bally needs to get their stuff together, but and I hope it all works out in some way. And I'm sure it will in some capacity. But from everything, from the pregame show, the Johnny Kane, the John Keatings at the desk, Trevor Thompson, you got Natalie Kerwin, Daniela Bruce. Yeah, it's all together. Like they all work really well as a collective unit. Johnny Kane, I'm a big fan of him too, like I kind of said. So yeah, it's just figure it out. Let's just have all of the Bally crew announce the games here on out, even for the away, even for Cleveland, and they just have to deal with it. They just have to deal with
For
it.
Cleveland, it's just
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
It'll be
they're
fine.
good. They're good.
Yeah, because you could even like to that point. Obviously, that wouldn't have helped us in this series, but you could also just be like, okay, the home team's broadcast team takes the game, and that would be I think more interesting than the national guys, because also they don't know the team as well as they do, and so it just isn't.
The one
as
last
good.
thing I will complain about,
good.
and then we can wrap it up, and then I'll stop my therapy session here. I did look at tickets to go to Detroit, and to say I was upset and frustrated would be an understatement. Now, I'm prefacing all by saying I had a feeling I wouldn't be able to find a nice little $33 ticket like you can on a random Friday night in June against the Blue Jays. I knew that going into it. But the fact that a nosebleed is like $300 or $400, I'm like, my God. I mean, I get it. When you start winning, they're going to bump up the tickets. It's all business at the end of the day. I do. But I was just thinking about it. I was like, damn, the last 10 years, this team has been brutal. They were begging people to come to the ballpark. And the second they show some signs of life, they jack up the prices to an insane amount. Not only ticket prices, but flights are expensive, hotels are expensive. So unfortunately, what I think it's coming to is, unless I win the lottery within the next couple of days, I don't know if I'll be able to make it up to Detroit. But I will now pose this question to you. It's a hypothetical and a big one. Let's say the Tigers beat Cleveland, Kansas City beats New York. Are you throwing out the dough to go to a playoff game in New York?
So the Yankees, so it's an ALCS Tigers-Yankees.
Tigers-Yankees, they got a game in the Bronx. Are you going?
I would have a budget available to go to a game.
Sounds good.
The question will be if I can find a ticket for that budget, which would probably be somewhere in the couple $100 range.
That's how I was looking at it. Yeah.
For that ticket and that experience, I'd stand. I don't care.
If I lived in Detroit, if I did not have to fly from Naples, Florida, then get an Airbnb or a hotel for a night or two, I would probably be comfortable dropping a couple $100 to go see honestly, if I lived in Detroit and I was like, a 20-minute drive from the stadium, or I was in the burbs outside of Detroit, whatever it might be, I would drop the money. I think I would within reason. If it's if it gets to the point where we're talking a couple grand a ticket, I can't do it. I'm sorry, folks. I just cannot do it. And shame on the teams and the owners and whoever it may be that they're jacking those prices up. But yeah, that's probably a Chris Ilitch thing. I can file under my complaints towards him. So yeah.
Yeah, and I was also thinking about this, like, if I can only pick one game to go to, right, in baseball. In other sports, the answer is like, I guess really just in football, the answer is super easy. You would pick the Super Bowl over what I'm about to say, if you could only go to one game. But in sports that play a best of 7, and you can only go to one game, so you can't know beforehand that like we're going to clinch this game. Obviously, game 7, but they would have to get to a game 7. For me, I was thinking about this and I was like, oh, I think I would actually rather drop the money and go to the ring ceremony. The next, like, because I know that I get to celebrate, as opposed to I'm going to drop 1,100, $2,000 on an experience that like could end in just like absolute heartbreak.
No, that's a great point. That's such a good point, because I've always thought about that too. Like if you buy tickets to the Super Bowl, like they go nowadays for like 10 to 15 grand, sometimes even more than that. Like you're paying like 15 grand to sit in the nosebleeds in some cases. And imagine you drop 15 grand or whatever it is, and you just watch your team lose in the Super Bowl. Not only are you out 15K, but your team lost. It's like, at least
Yeah.
at least if I go home broke and they win, I'm happy. To go home broke and sad is just what we call a Tuesday here. That's just what it comes down to. So,
Yeah. Now I would love the situation where I had a spare 15 grand to watch the Lions lose in a Super
mhm.
Bowl, because it would also mean that the Lions made it to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, which I've never seen happen.
Can I don't mean to blow up your. Obviously, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but you're an active. You play the games. This man likes his
I do.
gambles. He does it. I tried it, folks. Hard Rock Bet it just wasn't a good fit. We'll try again next season.
This podcast now brought to you by
By
FanDuel.
FanDuel.
Please don't sue us if you're a former Jacksonville Jaguars executive.
Would you mind telling to our dear listeners and potential viewers your bet that you have that you showed us all the other day?
Yeah, I'll share. I've got a few different bets that
I
I
like.
will share with
Yeah.
the folks. I just want to look at them so I can get you
Please do.
the
I know
right
I'm throwing you
payout
on the spot
numbers.
here.
Just pull
I
it up.
I loved the one, the big one that you sent. I was like, man, I
Oh,
love that.
that's
That's the big Kahuna.
the pay my student loans bet. That's the I do currently have. So I did a couple things, and this will veer into football as well, just a little bit. So I this is where it started. It all began, not my sports betting, that started a long time ago. This I usually didn't make season long bets, but this season I had a lot of confidence that the Detroit Lions would be, competitive for a Super Bowl. And so I said, okay, great. Let me place some wagers. So I placed about $100 worth of wagers across different things, all revolving around the Lions winning the Super Bowl. And I said, okay, great. If these bets come in, the Lions win the Super Bowl, I have now spent $100 on my Super Bowl merch. That's what that money will be for. That's how we will celebrate the Super Bowl
Love it.
win. I have the money there. Now, the downside being, of course, that if the Lions don't win the Super Bowl, I'll have spent $100 on Super Bowl merch with nothing to show for it.
Happens. Speaking of merch, my October Ready
But
shirt still hasn't come yet. So who knows? Get it together, FedEx.
hey,
Back to you.
you got to stay alive long enough for the October Ready shirt to get in. So, all that being said, when the Detroit Tigers were starting to make a run, they had not yet. I then placed a Tigers to win the World Series bet, $10 to win $510. They're currently offering me a cash out of $30 on that bet. Not taking it, folks. I then also have things like Tigers to beat the San Diego Padres in the World Series, Tigers to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. But the big one, the big kahuna that Luke is referencing is my 3-leg parlay.
This is my favorite.
Detroit Tigers win the 2024 World Series. The Detroit Lions win Super Bowl 54. I had to Roman numerals my way there. And the Detroit Red Wings win the 24-25 Stanley Cup. A $4.01 wager will pay $100,209.90.
Dude, that's a great bet.
Currently, they're offering me a cash out of $4.33.
Ooh.
That's a 32-cent profit, everybody.
Absolutely.
I could take it right now, but I'm not going to. As I said in the group chat, after our friend Tom was advising me to take the cash out because of the Red Wings leg of that parlay, I said my real plan is for the first 2 legs to come in, the Red Wings still be in the playoff hunt, and then take like the $20,000 or $30,000 cash out that they offer me. That's what we're hoping for that. And then I got like a free $500 to throw on a Red Wings.
Love it.
Win the Stanley Cup.
Love it.
But yeah, that's the current action that we've got.
The action. I love it. I tried the sports betting. I do like it. I can see how it's addicting. I can see how it ruins people's lives. But yes. I had
play responsibly.
Play responsibly. Folks. I will return.
No wagers over $4.01.
Yes, I will return some point to the sports gambling world. I'm just not quite there yet. And but maybe I'll get it on maybe I'll do like a Bears, Tigers, Gators parlay. If all those teams win, maybe I get like an ice cream cone or something.
Luke, if you just want to set money on fire, just send me $5. That's
Hey, it could happen. That could happen. I can do it. I'll send you right now. It's going to be great. Yeah, big series. We're back Saturday against Cleveland for game 1. Then I believe it's game 2 on Monday in Cleveland. Game 3 is
which is probably when we'll see Scooble, based on what I've seen.
On Monday. Yeah, I'm thinking Monday too.
We'll see him Monday, and then he would be available for a game 5 on. That might be normal rest. Game 5 would be Saturday. Yeah.
Would they do? I wonder. Do you think they'll start with pitching chaos on Saturday, or do you think we'll do like a traditional like Bo Bursky throws an inning or two, and then they give like Reese Olson like 4 innings, like kind of the opener and like mid starter, or are we just going to go pitching chaos round 2 again?
I think it's probably I would think it's going to be pitching chaos round 2, just kind of straight out the gate. Because again, got to dance with the girl that brung you.
Keep dancing, start stretching. Let's put the music on.
All right. Well, hopefully we're back with another episode real soon.
Playoff baseball
to preview an ALCS.
Love it,
Luke. I hope your heart stays okay.
Yes, you too.
Have a good
See
one,
you, buddy. Go Tigers.